Alright guys, so here's where we're at with the rear brake. What I found out was the rear master cylinder is working fine. It's just my calipers are frozen. So I pulled those off. I've got them in the ultrasonic cleaner now, trying to get them heated up. I took them out and tried to pump some air through it, and I could not get the calipers to move at all. So I've got them in the ultrasonic cleaner. Thought maybe heating them up, letting them go through a cycle of the ultrasonic cleaner might loosen those up, and then we'll try to blast them loose again. So that's kind of where we're at so far on the rear brakes. So let's see how they did coming out of the ultrasonic cleaner. Okay, here's the master cylinder, or I'm sorry, the caliper after it came out of the ultrasonic cleaner. I was running it through with some simple green, and that's what the simple green looks like afterwards. So it looked like it did a pretty good job of cleaning it. So I'm going to put a little air on this and let's see what happens. Let's see if it broke it loose. They are still not moving. Wow. They are really frozen in there. Huh. Alright, well, I'm going to work on this, see if I can get these things to pop loose a little bit. Be right back. Alright, well, I had a little bit of progress with the brake caliper. I did get the pistons out, and as you can see in there, it's pretty nasty. Unfortunately, in doing that, this brake piston that was very stuck in there, you can see the ring of rust on this one. What I did to get it out is I had to put the brake caliper back on, filled it with brake fluid. I'm sorry if this keeps jumping around. I'm having a terrible time with GoPro. Let me know if you hate GoPros as much as I do. Battery says it's 65%, but it just keeps cutting out. It's saying dead battery. So anyhow, I put the caliper back on the bike, filled it with brake fluid, and then I had to force the pedal down pretty hard, and I wound up having to put a pry bar underneath of it like this. Sorry about the mess underneath. Working on stuff, you make a mess. And pry the pedal down, and I just kept doing that. I tried to make it as close to the mounting point here of the pedal so it didn't break that pedal off. But that was the only way I could get that brake caliper to finally break loose. But the good part of it is it did help me flush out the brake fluid in the master cylinder. Master cylinder works great, doesn't appear to be leaking anywhere. And that was the only thing I could do to force that pistons out. And was able to pop one piston out, had to force the other one out, and so that's where we're at right now. I've got the new pistons and the seals on order, so hopefully we'll have them in a day or two and can get back to that part of the brake calipers. Alright, so I'm going to clean up some of my mess as I put the brake caliper back in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to clean it out real good and probably paint it while we're waiting for parts to come in. So we'll continue working on this bike and see what else we can get into on it. Alright, ran the caliper through the ultrasonic cleaner. Did a pretty good job cleaning everything out. I just used pine saw and about 50-50 pine saw and water, and that's what the pine saw looked like afterwards. And remember, this already went through the ultrasonic machine several times before taking it apart. So And then I dropped the parts in there too, and this is just a couple of them. Came out pretty good. There's still a little bit of a corrosion ring on these that I'll hit on the wire wheel and clean up really good before putting that together. But so now we're just waiting for the parts to come in for this. I threw these in just for giggles, and it cleaned up the piston pretty good. Got all the dirt and everything off of it, and got it down to where you can still see the corrosion on it, which I didn't expect it to get that off of it. Here's the other piston that was not damaged, but you can see the corrosion ring on it. Like I said, you can see the corrosion ring on it. You could tell it still needs a little bit more cleaning inside, but so far so good. And here's what the pine saw and water look like afterwards. So yeah, I love the ultrasonic. It does a great job. Alright guys, sorry if the light's so bad. It's getting dark out and getting dark in the garage, but got the two seals in. Take your time. I had to really work these smaller seals to get them in straight and not flip over and to seat down properly all the way in their seat. So now we're going to just take the caliper, or the piston, and get some more brake fluid on it. Get quite a bit of brake fluid. And now we're going to try to have to press this piston down in there nice and even and flat, and just kind of rotate it there a little bit just so it doesn't pucker up any of those seals. Until they drop in there. Got down past the first one. I'm trying to work it down past the second. Trying not to. Man, it's a tight fit. And that's what you want. Sound of that. There we go. She's in there. Alright, so first piston's in. Didn't mean to press it down all that way. I'm going to get the other new piston. Same thing. Get brake fluid on it. This is why I haven't painted this caliper yet, because I knew I'd be getting brake fluid all over it with trying to get these in. I'm not a master at this, so I make a mess, but it's okay. So we're just gonna try to work it past that seal. Make sure that seal has some brake fluid on it too. Now that first The seal looked like it popped over a little bit. Alright, so I think I've got it in there now. Make sure this seal's clean, or this piston's clean. Put a little more brake fluid around this seal. Got it on this piston. And we're going to try to line it up in there. And like this way, this one's lining up. Let's try it again. Wiggle it back and forth just a little bit. Just try to work it past that seal. Go past the first one. See if we can get it to slide past the second. And you might put some force on it a little bit. There we go. And she's in. Alright. So I've got those done. I'm going to spray this outside of this piston down, or this caliper down with some brake clean, just to clean off all the brake fluid. And then I might put a little compressed air on here. Well, I might just put it straight on the bike and see if we get some pressure. Make sure we have no leaks. Alright, as you can see here, I was able to pump both of these up. We didn't have anything leaking. I just pumped them up a little bit just to kind of see what we'd get. And so we're going to clean these up. We'll press them back down. I'm going to probably take this back off and paint it. And then we'll put it all back together and get ready for the rest of finish these brakes up. Alright, so we've got a little bit of grease on them. I'll put some grease on the pins. And alright, so I've got the pins through, and I got the little clip that holds it on in the back on. Now I'm going to grease the pins up, put them in. I know I didn't paint this yet, and I'm going to paint it. But it's a little cold out right now, so what I'm going to do is just put this back together for now. And okay, sorry this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but having a terrible time with my GoPro. Went ahead and got the bolts back in for the brakes. I'm going to pump them up and bleed them a couple times. I'm going to paint it, but I want to make sure everything's working right first before I paint the brake caliper. I'm gonna have to take everything off anyhow because I'm gonna have to replace the rear tire. So when I replace the rear tire, maybe it'll be a little better weather out, a little warmer, and I can go ahead and paint that. But you know, I'd like to take this thing for a little test ride before the final you know, tear down and clean everything up, maybe paint some things. But I want to keep this bike as original as possible, but that will be addressed. I'm going to go ahead and bleed the brakes and see if we can get the rear brake, make sure it's working properly, and then we'll move on probably to the slave cylinder next. Alright, I got the brakes bled, and the pedal feels really good. It may look a little wet because I just sprayed it down with some brake cleaner just to make sure we had all the brake fluid off of it. Top the brake fluid container off, which has been flushed and cleaned out really well. So we're going to clean up some tools here and get ready to do the slave cylinder. Check that out, see what kind of seals we need on it because I know it's leaking. So probably end this video here. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe.